Hello guys, how are you? How was your day so far? I hope everyone is doing great. Welcome back to SEDA College Online. I am really glad to be here with you and I hope you have enjoyed all the previous classes. Remember that you can also go back and rewatch them if you are not sure about something. Also, I will keep saying that if you have any questions, please write your questions in the comment section, in the live chat, and I will answer everything, guys. Okay? And also, as I said before, I will keep asking you questions during the class so you can write your answers down and we will be talking about them together. So, I'll start with the same question that I started in my last class. How do you feel today? I want you to write down your answers. But today I have a second reason why I started with this question. So as long as you take your time to write your answer, I will tell you why. My second reason is that today we're going to talk about illnesses and injuries. So if somebody is feeling sick or if you have any symptoms, if you feel tired or have a fever, you can write it down in the comments, okay? So we're gonna see a lot of vocabulary today about illnesses and injuries. We're gonna do a little bit of grammar. We'll practice your listening skills and we'll see how much do you know about first aid. So this is the first thing we're gonna do, guys. Does anybody know how to give first aid? You can write in the comments. Maybe someone has taken a first aid course. I don't know if you have read something. But remember, if you try to find information on how to give first aid, it's very, very important to just go on websites or find books that are related to maybe health organizations or national health systems, first aid training, because there is a lot of misinformation online. So I'll give you 5 statements today. That's how we're going to start. And I'm going to ask you to tell me if these are myths or facts. You can tell me which one you think is the correct answer. So the first aid case is about fainting. Does anybody know what fainting is? Have you fainted maybe at some time? I know a lot of people who have almost fainted. Means that you lose consciousness, okay, you collapse. So if you feel like fainting, or if somebody else in your house faints, what is the correct thing to do? You can think, is it A, to lean forward, put your head between your knees, or maybe lie the person down on their back and elevate their legs? You can write your answer on the comments. You can answer in the style like fainting A or fainting B, because I will give you some more situations. Of course, I'm not gonna give you the answer now. We're gonna watch a video in a few minutes, and you're gonna see if you predicted correctly. My second case is choking. Okay, the infinitive is to choke. I don't know if you have ever choked. Some people usually choke because food gets stuck in the throat and obstructs the breathing. So that could easily happen if you eat really fast. So what do you think you need to do in that situation? Lean the person forward and give them 3 to 5 blows between the shoulder blades. You might have unknown vocabulary here. A blow is a hit, okay? Imagine that you're holding the person and you're hitting them not too hard 5 times, okay? And I don't know if you know the part of the body which is shoulder blades. It's at the back, okay? It's in between your shoulders, the bones of your shoulders. Your other option is B. Try to remove the object, like the food, or if something is stuck, a toy maybe in a child's throat, that causes choking with your fingers. Think about it. And write down your answer in the comments. Choking A, choking B. Choose. Which one do you think is the correct one? My next case is nosebleed. It's very common. It has happened to everyone. What do you usually do? Do you tilt your head back? Or do you lean forward and pinch? This is pinching, okay, like that. Your nostrils. And my next case, the last one, is burns. It's very easy to get a burn when you are at home, when you cook, maybe ironing, smoking. So what is the best thing? To apply aloe vera on the burn or to run the burn under cold water? Write your answer, burns A or burns B. And let's see if your knowledge is the correct one. Because as I said before, there is a lot of misinformation about that topic, guys. I have a video here from St. John's Ambulance in Australia, and they debunk a few myths. So I want you to be very, very careful and check to see if your answers were correct. Are you ready to listen? Okay, so let's go.
Well, would you know what to do if your child was choking or had fainted or even if they had a blood nose? Well, there are some common myths and misconceptions when it comes to first aid. So we've enlisted the help of St. John's Ambulance to show you how to cope in a crisis.
A car trip home turned life-threatening for Felicity Wilkerson's daughter.
She was sort of trying to get the air in and she was making a funny noise and gasping for breath.
Choking while eating sultanas.
It's very frightening when it's your own child and you get that moment where you freeze and you think, oh, what am I going to do?
Luckily, Felicity knew what to do, all thanks to a first aid course she took at her mother's group.
Honestly, I don't know what would have happened.
He's choking! He's choking! Somebody help me! Somebody's choking!
And lucky she did, as if people use the methods made popular in the movies, the outcome would be less than ideal.
Here! Come on!
It is a little worrying to know that there's so much misinformation still out there.
Today, St John Ambulance trainers Di Jenkins and Anthony Haspel are here to outline what you need to know in an emergency at home.
If you don't do first aid correctly, it can be fatal.
First, fainting.
The most common misconception is that people believe that you should lean forward and put your head between your knees.
That's a really good way to give yourself a head injury when you fall further forward.
Instead, lie your child down on their back and elevate the legs so that more blood can reach their head. As for choking, don't copy Mrs. Doubtfire. You may cause internal damage.
You get them to lean forward and you give them 3 to 5 blows between the shoulder blades.
Next, nosebleeds. Most of us think tilting your head back will stop the bleeding, but not only does it do nothing to help, you can actually worsen irritation.
And I think the reason people do that is because mum doesn't want blood on the carpet.
To stop the bleeding, lean forward and pinch the nostrils. And when it comes to burns, avoid aloe vera. It actually insulates the heat rather than drawing it out. Run the burn under cold water for 10 to 20 minutes. Emergencies can strike anywhere at any time, and the initial minutes are the most critical. That's why St John Ambulance is pleading with at least one person in every Australian household to take a first aid course.
Know how to save your own child if it comes to that.
Give it a go, and certainly if you've got that knowledge behind you, it gives you that confidence.
Gee, it's good advice, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Great advice.
I'll update my knowledge on aloe vera. I thought that was a good one to use for burns. Turns out it isn't.
When I was a kid, nosebleed used to always have the,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But it's harder. It's much harder to run up than down, I would have thought.
Well, you would have thought.
Gravity.
Couldn't care less about the carpet.
What's happening up there?
Quite a bit.
You can see right
Last time I looked.
Alright guys, so these were the information, and what did you think about the nosebleed? Because me as well, before taking a first aid course, I always had the impression that you had to tilt your head backwards, but turns out that's wrong. So it's very good to find out information about everyday situations, maybe, mostly like burns, cuts, bleeds. But if you want to take a first aid course, it could be a great idea to have that information. Alright, so let's check your answers now and see how did you do. When you're about to faint, don't lean forward. Lie the person down on their back and elevate their legs, alright? And in case of choking, just lean the person forward, give them 3 to 5 blows between the shoulder blades. The move that you saw like in the film as well, that is very well known, like trying to hug the person from behind, could be useful if done correctly, but only for adults, not for children. Definitely not for children. And when it comes to nosebleed, never tilt your head back, okay? It doesn't matter if you get blood on the carpet, it is the good thing to do, the correct thing to do. And last but not least, burns, which happens very, very often to me. Just run the burn under the cold water for 5 to 10 minutes. Right, so how was that? Do you feel that you know a little bit about first aid, or do you think you need to take a course? And since we are talking about illnesses and injuries, we'll take a look gradually, slowly throughout the lesson to some vocabulary that might be useful for you, some vocabulary that you might not have seen, and if you go to the doctor, you don't know how to describe your injury or your disease. Here I have 4 words that are common symptoms, but my students always ask me about them. They're never sure what the name is. Well, 3 out of 4. So the first one is, I will just pronounce them for you a bit fast, but we'll focus on pronunciation later. Okay, so we have cough, dizzy, rash, and blister. So number 2, you see dizzy is the adjective and dizziness is the noun. I want you to take a minute and think which picture corresponds to which word. Which one is cough, which one is dizzy, rash, and blister. Think about it a little bit. I think you all know the first one at least. I don't know about the other 3. So let's start taking a look at the pictures from the left side. The first one you see at the top left is a blister. Do you get blisters usually? I always get blisters on my feet, for example. when you wear new shoes, tight shoes, etc. And the bottom one is dizziness. Okay, you feel a bit lightheaded. Maybe if you're about to faint, you feel a bit dizzy, a bit unstable, you lose balance. Of course, I think the next picture at the top is the easy one. Cough. The woman is coughing. And the last one is a rash. So if you see redness or spots on your skin and you want to describe it to the doctor, it's called a rash. Okay, guys? So we'll continue to see some more vocabulary in a few minutes, a little bit later. But first, I want to see a few more sentences that you can use to talk about illnesses or injuries. You can take a look at the left side of the table. Okay, I've never had a flu. So if you want to talk about general experience, you can say something like that. I have never had a really high temperature, or I have never had my finger cut while cooking, which is something that doesn't happen to me. Or if something recently happened to you, like at that moment, you could say, oh, I've just cut my finger. Okay. Somebody asks you, how are you? And like 2 minutes ago, maybe you burned yourself. Tell them, I've just burnt myself. And then you can use something like, I've always preferred these pills. Okay, I've tried a lot of them. I've tried stronger ones, lighter ones, and these work best for my headache. So I've always taken these pills. Something that started in the past and still continues. But you can also say something like, I've been feeling ill for a few weeks. So again, this started in the past and continues. But what could be the difference between the sentence before and the sentence I just read? If you pay attention, you'll see that both started in the past and still continue. So what's the problem here? Think about it for a minute. And take a look at the last sentence as well. I've been sleeping all day. Okay, something recently finished. Probably you are awake since you're saying that. So you can see again that number 2 and the last one are both recently finished. So what's the difference? Can you think of anything? You can type it up in the comments. And think about the tenses as well. So, right guys, you see that half of the verb, like the yellow ones, are present perfect simple. The green ones, present perfect continuous. We have different forms. In the present perfect simple, you need have, has, and past participle. In the present perfect continuous, have, has, been, plus the ing. But if some of them you see are used to say exactly the same thing, like started in the past and continuous, then how do I know when to use present perfect simple and when to use present perfect continuous? The difference is in the duration. Think about the second example. I've cut my finger. How long do you think does it take to cut your finger? That's something that is repetitive, it keeps happening, okay? It's just one movement, one fast movement, and you cut your finger. But think about the last example. I've been sleeping all day. You have the time expression all day here, which shows we have a long duration. This has been happening for hours. So you can see the difference. Okay, so short action and action with duration. And it is a good idea generally to pay attention to time expressions. I've underlined them here for you. You can see never, just, always. And for the present perfect continuous, for a few weeks, all day. So it can help you to have in mind these time expressions and maybe differentiate between present perfect simple and present perfect continuous. But it's not the only thing that can help you. And sometimes time expressions might not be there, so you need to focus only on the meaning. So what do you think so far? If you have any questions about the present perfect simple and present perfect continuous and the difference between them, you can type them in the comments and I will answer. And I will give you some practice as well to think about which tense fits in each case. I'll set the scene for you first for my dialogue. Imagine that we have two sisters, two flatmates, two friends. One of them is sick and the other one has gone to work, comes back and asks how the other person is. So the ill person goes on a rant because they are not feeling well at all. So I will give you first a minute, very, very fast, read the dialogue and focus on the meaning. And think what I told you before. With the verb you're given, do you think it's about duration or something that happens fast, short action? Take a minute. And generally, remember again that the time expressions can help you. I have underlined them here for you to give you a hint. You can see them, it's for ages, yet. I haven't underlined just, which is in the parentheses, in the brackets. We have all morning, so these can give you some clues. And if you find the answers, again, you can type them in the comment section. And just to go through the verbs in case you have any unknown words. The first one, ache, means to be in pain. For the second one, we have, slip. Throw up, which means to vomit. Okay, you feel sick in your stomach. And stub my toe. It means that you hit your toe on something or against something that happens really, really often. It's very painful and annoying. So I think you all know sneezing, okay? So I will also read the dialogue once for you without telling you the answers, just to get the meaning, okay? And the tone, the style. So just listen for a minute. Good afternoon, how are you? Are you feeling better? Yes, sure. Are you kidding me? Don't you see how I look? What happened? What happened? My back ached for ages, so I not sleep well. My temperature not drop yet. I throw up 2 times, and I just stubbed my toe. And guess what? Spring is here, along with my spring allergy. And I sneeze all morning. Okay, bye. So you can imagine the person who's annoyed by all that situation. And let's see the answers together, guys. So in the first one, you have for ages. Does it show duration? What do you think? Of course, it shows duration. So your answer here is my back, third person, so you need has. My back has been aching for ages. And you see how the sentences are connected with so, the cause and effect. My back has been aching, so I haven't been sleeping. Okay, the actions are connected here. And take a look at the next one. You have the underlined time expression yet. If you remember which tense we usually use yet with, then you've got your answer. Okay, it's present perfect simple. My temperature hasn't dropped. And remember the double P here in the past participle? For the next one, you have two times. When I showed you the time expressions, I added the words once, twice, but it's the same thing. If you have one time, two times, three times, it's present perfect simple. Okay. I've thrown up. And you see that you can use the short form. In this case, you're having an informal conversation with a friend, so it's not necessary to use the full forms. And in the next one, you have just. It's a clue again of present perfect simple. I've just stopped. And the last one, I think it's pretty easy. Here you have the expression all morning. So I think it is clearly a sign of duration. Okay, I've been sneezing all morning. So tell me how you did here. And if there is something that you don't get, why is this the answer? Why don't I use something else? Please ask me in the comments. Alright, guys? Okay. As I promised, we have some more vocabulary to see that we actually read in this dialogue, but I want to make sure you all understand the meanings. So I have a matching exercise for you. On the left column, I have the words. On the right column, I have situations where this might happen. For example, the first one is sneeze. In which of the 6 situations could you sneeze? So take a minute here, okay? I'll read the sentences for you as well. Okay, I tripped on the coffee table. I had food poisoning. I ate peanuts by accident. I feel some kind of pain. I got perfume sprayed on my face. I feel weak, my forehead is warm, and I have chills. So do the matching. You can write the answers in the comments like 1A, 2B, etc. And generally, I'm not sure if you have heard the expression stub my toe before, but I think it's really useful to have it in your vocabulary because it happens a lot. And it's a good idea to know how to express that. Alright, so let's see the matching. For number 1, the situation is E. I got perfume sprayed on my face, so I sneezed because of the strong smell. Stub my toe. I tripped on the coffee table, so I probably stubbed my toe. It can happen with chairs, beds, doors, anything. Temperature. Okay, of course you feel weak, your forehead might be warm, so you have a temperature. You can also use the word fever. Okay. Number 4 is I had food poisoning and of course my stomach hurt. I throw up. Here you can use other synonyms. Throw up is a phrasal verb, but you can use words like vomit as well, vomit, or you can just say I feel sick. I'm sick. Okay. And number 5, ache is D. Ache can be either a noun or a verb. So you could paraphrase it as pain or to be in pain. And the last one, we have an allergy or an allergic reaction to peanuts here. I ate peanuts by accident. I am allergic, so I have an allergic reaction. And as I told you in the beginning, we will also focus in a little bit of pronunciation before we finish. So I have collected a few of the words that we saw today, and we're going to focus to specific sounds. We'll see the difference between the sound ch and k, because the ch can have both sounds. So we'll see if we can differentiate. And then we'll see the difference between E and E. It's a short and a long sound. Okay, we have ch, k, I, E. And you can see the 8 words on the left. I just want you to take a minute, read the words. I will not read them for you this time. And focus on the bold letters. You have the CH, I, double E, CH, T, I, double E. In order to help you, I'll just tell you that you can have 2 words in each category. 2 words for ch, 2 words for k, 2 words for I, 2 words for E. Take a minute to think about it and do the matching. And you can see the examples as well. It's a good idea generally to try and pronounce the words. And if you're not sure, compare them to the example that is given to you, like check for ch, he for k, I for in, and C for E. And I know sometimes pronunciation can be a little bit challenging, but practice makes perfect, and it can be important, even though the differences might be so small. You think, oh, it doesn't matter, who's gonna see the difference or listen to the difference? Well, sometimes it matters. Sometimes it can change the meaning of the word that you're saying, so it's kind of important. Alright, so let's see what the answers are. For ch, I think the first one was easy, choking. But had you noticed the letter T in the word temperature is actually a ch? It's not a tu, it's a ch. Temperature. And I know this can be a difficult word sometimes. There are a lot of silent sound. Okay, so it's temperature. Temperature. And the stress is on the first syllable. Now the second one might be easier, although some people are not sure how to pronounce the first one. Just 3 sounds. Ache, ache. And the second one, of course, stomach, So it's not a chew, it's not a stomach, it's stomach. And for A, we have dizzy, blister. You see that the sound is really short when you pronounce it. You don't prolong it deeply. Dizzy, blister. But then we have bleed and sneeze. And if you look at my mouth, you see that it actually becomes longer when I pronounce this. Bleed, sneeze. Okay. So I'll just pronounce everything once for you, and you can pronounce after me. Choking, temperature, ache, stomach, dizzy, blister, bleed, sneeze. And please let me know if you have any questions, again in the comments or in the live chat. So just before we finish, I want to do a recap. What did we see today? We did a listening exercise, we predicted the answers, and we listened for details to confirm. Remember that prediction is a very important skill that can help you a lot when you're listening or reading. We saw vocabulary about illnesses and injuries, and of course a little bit of grammar about the present perfect simple and present perfect continuous. And last but not least, pronunciation with focus on the sounds ch, k, I, and e. So, before we finish for today, I just want to ask you again to go to the comment section or the live chat and tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. What did you learn today? Anything that comes in your mind. And generally, it's a good idea to do that in any lesson. When you're reading anything, even if you're reading an article on a newspaper, when you finish, ask this question to yourself. What did I learn today? It can really help you reflect and put your thoughts in order. Alright guys, thank you very much for being here with me. Have a lovely day, and I'm expecting to see you again here next time. Bye!